Hey, everybody. It is Sunday here in Cypress, Texas, and the rain's just starting to come down. Um, I just got done listening to the Build to Exit or Chairman Project podcast for the third time. Okay, and he's going over um, Robert Greene's book, Mastery. And, uh, and he's applying it to business. And a lot of things he talks about are important, like having a mentor. And I never really had a mentor um, for business. I so I have to look back on what I did. A lot of things I did good. I didn't know what I was doing when I did it. How it happened, I could look back later and see um, that what I was doing. And big thing that Jason talked about on it was rapport. And so I've actually looked a lot into that, right? When perfect example, my had a client recently. Uh, Never met this guy before. I'm at a coffee shop, and he starts asking me questions, and I had answers for him like that, and then he ended up we exchanged information. He called me up. Come to find out, his favorite uncle was a Navy SEAL. Bang, rapport, like right now, right? I've seen over and over again where never met somebody before in my life, and they're kind of trying to put me off, and then tell them that where I used to live in Virginia Beach. It was like right around the corner from where they live, and next thing you know, we're doing business, right? Just like that, okay? And so that commonality, finding that commonality, having, building rapport, having a mentor. And so with what I do, I utilize Jason in his podcast and for because he's going to be able to talk to somebody about what they need to do with their business. He's got a track record of business consulting successfully that he can get them where they need to be. They make more money. They got more money to do something with me, and that's the process. That's where we want to go. Now, I've been really digging into the family banking strategy, infinite banking strategies, and I stumbled on a video where this guy, and I can't remember his name, but I recognize his face. He used to be a commentator on Fox, and in this video he explains that him and his wife have enough financial success, they don't have to work for anybody anymore. He's not working for Fox anymore. Okay, and he was talking about these personal banking strategies, and he wasn't talking about life insurance. He didn't mention life insurance one time. He was talking about using your 401k the same way, or a home equity line of credit. Okay, so let me try to explain. I'm gonna have to put a PowerPoint together and explain this, right? But it helps me so much, right? The different ways of doing it. So using a home equity line of credit, the interest on a home equity line of credit is interest only. It's not compound interest. Okay. And so when you borrow money, even if it's at the same rate, even if it's a little higher rate, you borrow money from your line of credit to pay your first mortgage payment. Okay, even if it's the same rate, you actually have arbitrage. You save money because it's a simple interest rate. It's less interest than compound interest. Okay, and so you're creating lesser accruement of interest in the line of credit than on the mortgage or credit cards. Okay, now that was one thing. So then he starts talking about the next was the borrowing money from your 401k to pay your mortgage. Okay, and now if you can implement strategies like the pill method, where you figure out. So I was using the number. I've been saying this for a long time about a $250,000 mortgage at 7.5% interest. The initial, I've been telling people the initial interest was $54 a month, because I heard somebody say that. It's not. It's $100 a month. Okay, just a little over $100 a month, $100 and change on a $250,000 mortgage at 7.5%. That's what you'd have to put in mid-month to knock out a whole month's worth of interest. That's significant. Okay, so that's exciting, right? Then, now when you do that, so what's the difference between using your 401k to pay down your mortgage, put the money in the 401k, then borrow the money back out of the 401k to pay the mortgage? Okay, it's the way it's taxed. You get a tax deduction on that contribution that you put into it, right? It's going to go tax deferred, but when you take that money out, you're going to be taxed with your regular income tax. Okay, so this is interesting. This is very interesting. Okay, so then we talk about the different type of life insurance policies. There's the whole life, which you're going to get like a guaranteed 5% rate of return. No matter what the market's doing, that's going to be 5%. Okay, you borrow that money out of the policy every month. You overfund it, so there's enough to cover your mortgage payment, your principal and interest payment, and then you you pay that extra $100 on the 12th of the month if your due date's on the 1st, right? And that interest doesn't accrue. Okay, so that's going to help you, right? You put that extra $100 on the 12th of the month, okay, and you're going to end up knocking that interest, that mortgage down in 15 years just doing that. But guess what? That money in the 401k builds up with your contribution and with the market growth, right? Okay, and you can borrow from it to pay the whole mortgage off if you wanted to. Okay, now when you're doing with a life insurance contract, if you're doing it with the whole life, you get that 5% guarantee. It can do the same thing, same exact thing, right? But when you take that money out down the road, it's tax advantage. Okay. With a whole life, you're going to get growth on the borrowed money. Okay. Now, with a universal life, a index universal life, the money you borrow out of the policy, you're not going to get a return on that money while it's borrowed, but you put it in every month, so it's kind of a wash, right? But what I kept trying to figure out, how do you get less than 10 years? I could never figure out how to get less than 10 years with any strategy without significantly increasing your contribution to your mortgage. Couldn't figure out how to do it. But then I started looking at the illustrations. I'm like, oh, this is what it does, right? Because when you're paying down that mortgage, you're paying it down, okay, you're building up in the policy, And when you've got enough in the policy to cover what's left in the mortgage, you can borrow from the policy, bang, and dump that to the mortgage. Now the mortgage is paid off. Now you're just paying yourself back. Okay, in the policy, in a whole life, you're going to get return on that money. In a universal life, you're not. So if you're just doing it, in and out, in and out, in and out, you can do universal life. Okay. But if you're going to do that strategy, you're going to take, borrow a bunch of it to put into the mortgage. You don't want to do that. Okay. Because you're not going to get return on that money as long as that loan's outstanding. Okay. But in a whole life, you're going to get accrue interest on the money, even if it's borrowed out of the policy. So that's why. So that clears that up. So that's what I got, my commentary on Jason Cisneros and my clarification on the infinite banking strategies. Oh yeah, I want to talk about it for business. I'm going to talk about how to use it specifically for business tomorrow. All right, have a good day.